All right, let's be real, we've all been there, right? You've got a piece of code that you know should work, a transaction that looks absolutely perfect, and yet it just fails. Well, today we're going to dive into a really cool debugging story. It's all about a mysterious timeout that, believe it or not, had a surprisingly simple fix with a really important lesson.
And this, right here, this is the big question. It's honestly one of the most frustrating things for any developer. You know the drill. You've checked everything, the logic is solid, all your parameters are right, but your transaction just hangs there, in limbo, until it times out. It's maddening. So what is actually going on under the hood?
Okay, so our story kicks off on the Polygon Amoy testnet. We've got a developer who's just trying to mint a totally standard ERC-721 NFT. I mean, this is something they've probably done 100 times. But this time, nope. Every single try failed. And the worst part? No error message, no revert, just nothing. A silent, super frustrating timeout.
So let's get the lay of the land here. What's the setup? Well, the codebase was a little on the older side. And here's the key part. It was using Ether's version 5. The RPC provider? Alchemy. Now you might think these are just minor details, but trust me, they turn out to be the essential clues to cracking this whole case. So, when you're debugging, where do you start? You go after the usual suspects, right? The most likely culprits. And that's exactly what happened here. The investigation kicked off by chasing down a few of these common problems, which, as it turns out, were total dead ends.
Okay, first logical move, blame the RPC provider. It's a classic. So, the dev switched from Alchemy over to the official Polygon RPC. And the result? Still timing out. Ugh. So, totally stumped, they decided to ask an AI assistant for some ideas. And that's when a brand new clue popped up. The AI suggested, hey, what if your gas fee is just too low? Too low for anyone to even bother picking it up? And this is where things get really weird. So, following that clue from the AI, the developer manually jacks up the gas fee. And guess what? Using the official Polygon RPC, it worked. The transaction finally went through. Ha! But then, they try the exact same high gas fee with the Alchemy RPC, and it still failed. Whoa. Okay, so this wasn't just a simple gas problem anymore. The plot was definitely thickening.
You know, that confusing result? That was actually the key that unlocked the whole thing. It proved the problem wasn't really about the RPC provider. It was something way deeper. The real problem was hiding in plain sight the whole time. The way gas was being automatically estimated was just fundamentally broken for this specific network.
Okay, so here's the absolute heart of the issue. On a really quiet testnet like Amoy, there's basically no traffic, right? So the network's base fee is practically zero. But to stop people from just spamming the network with junk transactions, the validators have their own rule, a policy. They enforce a minimum gas price. On Amoy, it's about 25 Gwei. And if your transaction comes in with a fee lower than that, they just ignore it. Poof, it's like it never existed.
And this line just says it all, doesn't it? Policy is greater than estimation. It doesn't matter one bit what your fancy software library thinks the fee should be based on network traffic. The validator's local rule is king. End of story. If you don't meet their minimum price, you're not getting in.
And that brings us right to our culprit, Ether's version 5. Look, it wasn't even technically doing anything wrong. It was working exactly as designed, just based on older assumptions. It looked at the ghost town of a network on Amoy, saw basically zero traffic, and said, okay, you only need a tiny little gas fee. It had no idea about that validator's 25 Gwei minimum policy. So every single transaction it was sending out was basically dead on arrival.
You know, as soon as you realize the real problem isn't your RPC provider, and it's not your smart contract, but it's the tool you're using to send the transaction, suddenly the path forward becomes crystal clear. You stop thinking about messy workarounds, and you realize the answer is just upgrade the tool.
And the fix itself? Oh, it was just beautiful in its simplicity. Step 1, upgrade the project from Ether's v5 to Ether's v6. Step 2, get rid of all those manual gas fee overrides they were using to test things. And the result? The NFT mint just worked. Instantly. Perfectly. No more timeouts.
So you're probably wondering, okay, but why did that work? Well, the hard data tells the whole story. Ether's v5 was estimating a priority fee of about 1.5 Gwei. That's nowhere close to the 25 Gwei minimum the validators wanted. But Ether's v6, with its smarter, updated logic, it suggested a fee around 35 Gwei.
comfortably over that minimum bar.
Just look at this. That horizontal line there, that's the validator's 25 Gwei minimum. It's the bar you have to clear. And Ether's 5, it's that tiny little bar way down at the bottom, not even in the same ballpark. But then you look at Ether's V6, it just sails right over it. This picture right here, it perfectly shows why one failed so miserably and the other just worked.
Oh, and to tie up that one last loose end, remember how the Alchemy RPC was still failing even with the high manual fee? Well, after upgrading to Ether's V6, it started working perfectly too. And that was the final nail in the coffin. It confirmed that Alchemy was never the problem. The single point of failure the whole time was good old Ether's V5.
So this whole thing was way more than just a simple bug hunt, right? It's actually a fantastic case study for anyone building in Web3 today. And there are some really valuable lessons here that I think we can all take and apply to our own projects.
So, what's the takeaway here? Here are the big ones. First, if you're working on a low-traffic chain, you've got to check if there's a validator minimum gas policy. Second, you just have to accept that Ether's V5's fee logic is, well, it's outdated for a lot of newer networks. And that leads to maybe the most important lesson of all. Sometimes, a simple library upgrade can solve a problem that feels impossibly complex. So, the ultimate takeaway? Seriously, if you can avoid it, just don't use Ether's V5 anymore.
And that kind of leaves us with one last question to think about. This whole crazy, mysterious timeout, all that frustration, all those false leads, it was all solved by updating a single dependency. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What's a simple upgrade that saved you from a massive headache? It's just a powerful reminder that sometimes the best thing you can do is just keep your tools sharp.